A futuristic city emerging from the vast desert, designed to redefine urban living as we know it. The line, part of Saudi Arabia's groundbreaking NEOM project, was set to stretch 170 kilometers, an eco-friendly, car-free utopia for 9 million people. Fast forward to 2025, and whispers of delays, contract cancellations, and human rights issues are making people wonder, is this ambitious vision hitting a wall, or is there more to the story than meets the eye? On this channel, we go beyond the headlines to bring you exclusive insights into the line's latest construction updates. Today, we're diving into what's really happening on site, including recent milestones, setbacks, and what the future holds for this ambitious project. Whether you've been following NEOM since the start or are just tuning in, you'll want to stick around for this one. And if you're as fascinated by the line as we are, let's dive in. When the line was first revealed to the world in 2017, it promised nothing less than a revolution in urban living. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman envisioned a 170-kilometer-long, mirrored metropolis running straight through the Saudi desert, housing 9 million people in a city free from cars, streets, and emissions. Everything would be within a 5-minute walk for residents, with nature and high-tech urban life existing in perfect harmony. However, as the years rolled on, this utopian vision has undergone significant changes. Instead of a continuous 170-kilometer stretch, the current projections for 2025 suggest that the line will cover only 1.5 miles initially, housing around 300,000 people, a dramatic shift from the original concept. While the long-term goal still exists, the ambitious timeline has been scaled back, with Saudi officials now adopting a phased, modular approach to development. This shift in scale and timeline hasn't gone unnoticed. Critics have pointed to the immense financial and logistical hurdles of such a project. Originally pegged at a cost of $1.5 trillion, the reality is that creating a city of this magnitude in the middle of the desert requires resources and planning on an unprecedented scale. To avoid overextending, NEOM's leadership has opted to focus on smaller, achievable milestones, starting with this initial 1.5-mile stretch, which they hope to have completed by the end of the decade. Despite these changes, the core vision of the line remains intact: a city designed for sustainability, powered entirely by renewable energy, and offering a glimpse of what life could look like in the future. But this shift from a citywide project to a scaled-down pilot phase is a clear signal that even the most grandiose plans must sometimes be adjusted to meet the realities of construction, investment, and time. The question now is, can the line, even in its reduced form, still deliver on its bold promise? To understand the answer, we need to look at the complexities behind the construction and the challenges faced by those trying to turn this futuristic city into a reality. Even with the adjustments in scale, the construction of the line remains a monumental feat of engineering. The city may have shrunk from its original 170 kilometers to an initial 1.5-mile stretch, but the complexities of building such a futuristic project in the heart of the desert are immense. The sheer scope of the earth-moving efforts is staggering. Each week, 2 million cubic meters of earth are excavated to prepare the foundation for this modular section of the city. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of filling 800 Olympic-sized swimming pools every single week. The number of machines on site reflects the scale. Over 260 excavators and 2,000 trucks are working tirelessly around the clock, creating the groundwork for what is still hoped to be a revolutionary urban space. One of the most technically challenging aspects has been the piling operation, essential for stabilizing the foundation of the line. At its peak, construction crews were installing over 60 piles per day, with a total of 4,500 piles drilled deep into the ground so far. These piles form the essential support structure for the vertical city, ensuring it can withstand the desert environment. The construction of the spine, a high-speed transportation corridor running parallel to the line, has also made significant headway. The idea behind the spine is simple but transformative: move people and goods across the city in minutes, without the need for cars or streets. A major milestone was reached when China Railway Construction Corporation, CRCC, completed a 9.48 kilometers tunnel beneath the desert. This tunnel, completed with the help of specialized drilling rigs from XCMG machinery, overcame significant geological challenges, showcasing the scale of engineering innovation driving the project forward. However, even with these impressive feats, the construction process hasn't been without its setbacks. While earth-moving and tunneling progress is undeniable, the pressure to meet deadlines and manage costs continues to mount, and not everything is progressing at the pace originally envisioned. As we move further into the complexities of the line's development, we'll see that while the engineering achievements are extraordinary, they also highlight the tension between bold vision and the reality of building a city in such a challenging environment. Building the line was never going to be cheap, but as the project continues, the financial strains are becoming more apparent. Originally projected to cost an eye-watering $1.5 trillion, the scale of the required investment has raised serious questions. While Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, the Public Investment Fund, PIF, is backing the project, even this vast reserve is feeling the pressure. Since 2014, Saudi Arabia's cash reserves have dropped significantly, falling from $744 billion to around $414 billion in 2024. This sharp decline in financial reserves has raised concerns about the kingdom's ability to fund such a massive, long-term development without significant outside investment. In response, Saudi officials have been actively seeking international partners and investors to share the burden. One of the most publicized financial blows to the project has been the cancellation of a $1.5 billion desalination plant. This plant was expected to provide 30% of NEOM's water supply, a crucial component given that the city is being built in one of the driest regions on Earth. Without this vital infrastructure, questions arise about the long-term sustainability of the line. Water scarcity is a major issue, and NEOM's reliance on alternative sources may increase costs and delay progress further. To make matters worse, Bloomberg recently reported that financial constraints may be affecting the pace of construction, with major contractors laying off workers. This development has only fueled skepticism about whether NEOM and the line can maintain their momentum amid growing budget pressures. While the vision is still alive, the financial reality is becoming a heavy weight on the project's ambitious shoulders. Despite these setbacks, Saudi Arabia remains committed to the project, betting heavily on NEOM as the cornerstone of its Vision 2030 plan to diversify its economy away from oil. The kingdom is pressing forward with key elements of the project, but with tighter budgets and rising costs, the challenge of turning this vision into reality is becoming ever more complex. As we look deeper into the financial side, the need for international investment and how Saudi Arabia plans to navigate these economic hurdles becomes clearer, but it also adds another layer of uncertainty to the future of the line. Behind the grand ambitions and futuristic designs of the line, there's an undercurrent of human rights controversies that cannot be ignored. The project, while promising to revolutionize urban living, has come at a significant cost to local communities, particularly the Huwaitat tribe. In order to make way for the sprawling development of NEOM, many members of the Huwaitat tribe, who have lived in the region for centuries, were forcibly relocated. According to investigations, including a revealing report by the BBC, Saudi authorities took extreme measures to clear the land for construction. Villages like Al Khurayba and Sharma were reportedly emptied with the use of lethal force, leaving behind a trail of displaced families and widespread resentment. One of the most tragic stories to emerge from this conflict is the death of Abdul Rahim al-Huwaiti, a member of the tribe who was killed in 2020 while protesting against the evictions. His resistance symbolized the growing discontent among locals and the human cost of the megaproject. Recently, 3 of his relatives were sentenced to death, further heightening tensions between the Saudi government and the local population. The international outcry over these human rights violations has not only led to protests but has also started to affect business deals. One notable example is Malcolm Ah, the CEO of Solar Water, who had initially signed a $100 million contract with NEOM to help develop a solar-powered desalination facility. However, after learning about the forced evictions and the treatment of local tribes, Ah chose to walk away from the project. His decision highlights a broader ethical dilemma for many international businesses considering partnerships with NEOM. These human rights controversies have placed a dark cloud over the otherwise glossy narrative of the line. While Saudi officials continue to promote NEOM as a sustainable, eco-friendly future city, the cost of human displacement and the suppression of local dissent tarnish that image. These incidents raise difficult questions about the moral price of progress and the sacrifices being made to realize Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's vision for the future. As the project continues, the tension between innovation and ethics remains a critical issue. The forced relocations, deaths, and continued opposition from human rights groups will likely cast a long shadow over the development of the line, even as construction moves forward. While the monumental construction progress and engineering feats continue to captivate the world, the line is increasingly becoming a lightning rod for global scrutiny. The combination of human rights abuses, financial difficulties, and environmental concerns has made potential investors wary, with many questioning the long-term viability of the project. Initially, NEOM was marketed as the ultimate urban development project, a self-sustaining, green city powered by renewable energy and designed to be free of cars and carbon emissions. This bold vision attracted widespread attention from around the world, with global investors eager to get involved in what was presented as a transformative project for the future of cities. However, as the complexities of the project became more apparent, international skepticism started to grow. One of the most significant barriers to investment has been the human rights controversies surrounding the forced relocation of the Huaytat tribe. As more international companies and stakeholders become aware of the forced evictions and reported human rights violations, there has been a noticeable shift in attitudes. High-profile departures from the project, like Malcolm's cancellation of his solar water contract, reflect a broader trend of disillusionment among potential partners. The ethical concerns of investing in a project tied to such controversies are a significant deterrent, especially for companies with strong corporate social responsibility values. Alongside human rights issues, the financial uncertainty surrounding NEOM is also creating hesitation. The cancellation of the $1.5 billion desalination plant, a crucial element for ensuring water sustainability in one of the driest regions of the world, has raised alarm bells. Without a reliable water supply, the long-term survival of the line and the surrounding NEOM city becomes uncertain. The financial implications of this and other cancelled or delayed projects add another layer of risk for investors. On top of this, the kingdom's shrinking sovereign wealth fund has put additional pressure on Saudi Arabia to attract more foreign capital. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PIF, is working hard to secure international investment through initiatives like GroundX, which offers real-time updates on construction progress to reassure investors. However, despite these efforts, the declining economic reserves and the growing costs associated with the project are making it harder to maintain momentum. Without substantial financial backing from international sources, the ability of Saudi Arabia to sustain such an ambitious project becomes even more questionable. In short, while the dream of NEOM on the line remains intact for now, the growing financial, ethical, and political challenges may threaten its ability to attract the investment necessary to turn it into a reality. The world is watching closely, and how Saudi Arabia addresses these challenges in the coming years will determine whether the line is remembered as an extraordinary triumph or a cautionary tale of ambition gone awry. As we look towards the future of the line, there are both promising signs and daunting challenges on the horizon. Despite the setbacks, Saudi Arabia and the project's leaders remain determined to press forward with the grand vision. The construction continues, albeit at a more cautious pace, and many pieces of the NEOM puzzle are still moving forward. One of the most significant developments is the ongoing progress of key infrastructure projects within NEOM, like Trojena, a futuristic mountain resort that's set to host the Asian Winter Games in 2029. This resort, which will bring snow and winter sports to a desert region, is viewed as a critical component of Saudi Arabia's efforts to diversify its economy and attract international tourism. Another part of the development, Oxagon, is focused on creating a sustainable, octagon-shaped port city that could help position Saudi Arabia as a global logistics hub. These projects have continued to attract attention and investment, showing that there is still confidence in certain segments of the NEOM vision. However, the line, the flagship project, remains mired in uncertainty. With $1.5 trillion in estimated costs, financial pressure, human rights concerns, and questions about its environmental sustainability, its future is far from certain. Some insiders remain hopeful, citing progress in construction and modular development, but the project's scaled-back scope, now just 1.5 miles long by 2030, illustrates the challenges it faces. Originally designed to stretch over 170 kilometers and house 9 million people, the reality today is a far cry from that ambitious vision. The project's phased approach, which targets incremental progress, may help alleviate some of the financial burden, but whether this will lead to a successful completion remains to be seen. As Giles Pendleton, Chief Operating Officer of NEOM, has suggested, substantial progress is being made in areas like excavation and infrastructure. However, it's unclear if these incremental victories can translate into a complete, sustainable city in the years to come. In addition, global investment is critical for the future of the line. With its reliance on attracting foreign capital, the success of the project may hinge on how effectively Saudi Arabia can navigate the growing skepticism about the project's financial stability and ethical concerns. The shift towards sustainable construction practices and green energy initiatives is a positive sign, but it will take more than technological advancements to reassure investors and critics alike. Ultimately, the road ahead for the line is a long and uncertain one. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 aims to transform the country's economy and reduce its dependence on oil, and the line is at the heart of that transformation. Yet, with its shrinking financial reserves, controversial human rights issues, and the shifting sands of international investment, the project's future remains unclear. Will the line eventually rise as a shining symbol of a new era for Saudi Arabia, or will it falter under the weight of its own ambition? As we move further into 2025, all eyes will remain on the project. What happens next could very well determine if the line is the sustainable, futuristic city Saudi Arabia envisioned or if it becomes an ambitious experiment that failed to live up to expectations. The answer, as always, will unfold with time. As the line continues to evolve, it stands at a crossroads, caught between ambitious promises of a futuristic, sustainable city and the growing realities of financial strain, human rights concerns, and global skepticism. While key projects like Trojena and Oxagon push forward, the line's scaled-back scope raises serious questions about its ability to meet the grand vision originally set forth. Can Saudi Arabia overcome these hurdles and transform NEOM into a shining beacon for the future, or will it crumble under the weight of its own ambition? Only time will tell. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates.